I believe people, when they see a young person try to do advocacy or try to educate the older population, um, it can kind of feel like it's a little bit jarring for them because they don't want to be educated by somebody who's younger than them. And it all has to come down with credibility. Do I have the credibility to educate somebody about this type of content versus somebody who already has the experience, you know? So a lot of people feel that whenever it's a young person leading a team or you per se, um, they can't take that person seriously.
And then we have a new generation of growing activism and activists that are finding their voice and finding that they're not always welcome at the tables of power, in large part because they're young. And I think there's a lot of ageism that goes into people's perception of who has a credible voice, who should be listened to.
I believe like innovation and youth basically go hand in hand, as innovation is really about applying new strategies and new ideas and new resources, which could mean technology, new theories, new school of thought. Youth involvement in innovation is basically something that has to happen, and it's a part of innovation that's youthful. Not saying that innovation can't be from someone who is not a youth. However, I feel like the idea that youth approach different things in a new and innovative way does show that youth is involved in the way that this industry evolves or this work will evolve.
Of course, if everyone tries to do the same type of work together, it's going to fail. You have to separate the work, right? So there's different ways to approach HIV innovation. And to disseminate that knowledge. For older folks, it might not work through Snapchat, but you can advertise things on like newspapers, magazines, things that they read. What do they do? Where do they read this content? But as for youth advocacy is very important. They don't read magazines and stuff like that. Everything is on through the mobile device. Basically, they were born with an iPad.
Well, I firmly believe that we should always be bringing younger people up through the ranks. Organizations need to have succession plans. I do feel that I'm seeing it in some of the organizations that are part of Project ABLE, AIDS Action Committee. I've met a lot of young people. There are people interning, there are people who are working in those jobs.
At the Innovations Conference, a young brother stood up and said, well, he kind of disagreed with what I was saying, and felt that the system was broken. Okay, I mean, I hear you. We haven't been as effective as we were. And the addition of younger folks would actually help that. I am a staunch believer that the way that folks did it back at Stonewall still works. To be loud and proud and be there in numbers. I think that this community taught the world not how to protest, but how to get stuff done.
I am seeing quite a lot of young people and young people at our advocacy days, et cetera. So they need to also move into the leadership positions of those organizations, and that they need to be mentored to do that.
I would absolutely go along with that. The one issue that I have with it is leadership has to be earned. I welcome anybody that wants to come in and wants to be a leader, but the first thing you got to do is listen, not speak. And I mean, that's what I had to do 20 some odd years ago. I had to listen for a while and then find my voice.
Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't room for new ideas or new approaches, but we definitely need young people to bring that to the fore. But they are very entrenched organizations, so how we affect that change, I think people who have the energy and commitment need to learn what those cultures are too. But that doesn't mean that there isn't room for innovation and new approaches.
The sense that from older people that young people are idealistic and green or naive is a really heavy weight to put on a young person whose voice really does need to be at the table. I think the flip side is also true. I think a lot of the younger activists I've worked with, and myself when I was a younger, earlier activist, there is a lot to learn from our veterans who have been in this fight for a long time. And I think part of the challenge is to figure out how to bring those perspectives together.
I believe that everyone should have roles in this type of project. So obviously Snapchat, Instagram is not for the older generation. So we have to be able to give that type of work to the youth who understands, who grabs how to use this type of social media platform. And then we can give the adults work that they're more familiar to, like maybe advertising on magazines or newspapers, stuff like that. So I think that's a way where we can all collaborate together, but giving the assignment specifically to those that understand the work in their field, respectively.
I had to be in the room. That was the first thing. I had to be at the table. And, I forced my way to the table. And if folks want to do that, I absolutely, want them to. Please come, knock on my door, and say, this is what I want to do. And I will absolutely help you. And we'll sit and we'll talk and we'll figure this thing out because we need it. The movement needs it. The community needs it. And I think my brother is absolutely right, is that where I think he's right is that without input from people who are younger, the movement will die. And it will die physically because the people who are older are dying.
I'm actually really excited that this conversation is even happening right now, because when we organized the Getting to Zero HIV Innovation and Action Conference, the whole concept of innovation is to shake things up and to say we don't have to do the things we've been doing just because we've been doing them. We can have a different way of having a conversation. And the fact that we've sparked this even question of who needs to be in the room and what are their voices worth and how do you engage a new generation of activists, young and old, I think is exciting. It means that there's interest and energy in the room, that any even hint of tension or conflict or disagreement about approaches, that's awesome. Innovation is not, there is no script on how we move forward. In fact, if we knew exactly how to finish the fight against HIV, we wouldn't need to talk about innovation. We would say, here's the roadmap, go do it. The whole point of talking about innovation in this fight is it's hard. It's hard work. There's no clear path. We have a virus that doesn't discriminate, and we have social factors that perpetuate its spread. And in a social context, we need to look at the kinds of conflicts around age, around race, around homophobia, transphobia, poverty, immigration. You have to look at that social context and say, why are we at odds? Why are we not making progress? Who needs to be in the room? And that's really messy work, and part of our job as advocates is to roll up our sleeves and dig in and dive in and figure out how to finish the fight.
My full name is Lamar Joanne Brown. I'm Jamaican. I'm 25. Born and raised on the island. Came to the United States at age 20. Currently living in Worcester. For like the last 5 years. I work at AIDS Project Worcester as a community relations manager.
My name is Ricardo Holguin. You can call me Ricky, or most people call me Rick. I'm 30 years old, or timeless. I feel young at heart, But I am a bilingual outreach navigator. I'm working for the SAMHSA Llegando Cero grant, which focuses primarily on targeting Latinos 18 to 24 who are MSM.
My name is Carl Shortino. I'm the Executive Director of AIDS Action Committee, which is the public health division of Fenway Health. I'm a gay man living with HIV myself. I've been at AIDS Action for the last 4 years, and prior to that was a member of the State House of Representatives as a state rep for Medford and Somerville.
My name is Marianne Hart, and I'm 65 years old. About 25 years ago, I was hired to be the lobbyist for Project ABLE, which is a statewide HIV/AIDS coalition, just to work on state AIDS funding.
My name is Larry Day. I am 60 years old, proudly. I've been living with HIV now for 22 years and a diagnosis of AIDS for 20. I am married. I have one son and a grandson. And I am absolutely a Bostonian, tried and true. Go Pats.